Hey everybody, this is Brad Decater with the Decater Real Estate Group, and today we're going to talk about my predictions for the 2022 housing market with a quick recap of the 2021 market. Okay, so first off, I want to go back to 2021. I usually do a market update for each month, but I'll just do a very quick recap. You guys don't need me to tell you that it was a pretty crazy market. So first off, we had 16.5% appreciation in King County, all single family and condominiums, which is a crazy amount. That's from January to December. A couple other things to note about the 2021 market was that we had super record low inventory. In fact, December was the lowest inventory that we've ever seen. And it was actually a pretty strong market through the winter, which is not very typical. So the bulk of this video is going to be more about 2022 and what my predictions are for the housing market. So first off, let's back up and talk about what makes a real estate market go up or down. So at its very basic level, it's supply and demand. How many people are looking to buy houses and how aggressive are they, and how many houses are on the market, or how much inventory is out there for them to swoop up and buy. So obviously in 2021, the supply and demand was a little bit skewed. We had a lot of demand and very low supply, which is what caused the 16.5% appreciation. Some other factors that have to do with why real estate goes up or down is interest rates, general prices and affordability based on the income of that area, inventory, the builder's ability to put out new construction products on the market, the Fed's policies with quantitative easing, population growth, and job markets. So let's hit on each one of those for just a few minutes before we wrap this thing up. Okay, so interest rates is one of the most important factors, and this is gonna be my longest one I talked about because it's pretty important. So interest rates, of course, as you guys know, are still historically low. We're around the low threes right now, which is super good compared to the last 100 years on average. We did hit historic lows like in the end of 2020 in like the mid twos, which is crazy. Don't know if that's ever gonna come back, but we still are in a really good position. However, if you've been looking at the news lately, you know that interest rates have ticked up just slightly in the last few months. The main reason for this was the Fed's announcement in November to stop their bond buying and essentially stop printing money until June, which is when they're gonna end the taper, and interest rates should be kind of going along with that and going up throughout this next year of 2022. So again, we're at about a low 3% interest rate right now, but we are trending, and most experts predict that we're going to be at about 4% by the end of 2022. So they are going to go up. And how is that going to impact the market? Well, a lot of times interest rates is super important for buyers' buying power. So a lot of times interest rates, as they go up, the prices actually go down because obviously your affordability changes. If an interest rate goes overnight from 3% to 4%, a person can only afford a lot less of a home because their payment goes up. So for that reason, people can't pay as much for the same exact house, so prices a lot of times will fall. However, in this case, I don't expect that to happen. We still have tons and tons of demand and still very little supply. And there's a lot of other factors that I'm about to go through right now. But these small ticks in interest rates should not slow down the buyer demand, in my opinion. And also, it's not the Fed's first time doing this, so they are doing it the correct way, in my opinion. They should be going pretty slow. So hopefully this won't happen overnight and it won't actually crash or affect the market too much. So another great factor is the generational trends. So I'm specifically talking about millennials here. Millennials are getting to the home buying age. In fact, a lot of them have already started, but there's going to be a lot of first-time home buying in the next 5 to 7 years. So because of that, and also they're one of the biggest population sectors in the country. So the fact that they're all going into home ownership, and a lot of them are wanting to be homeowners, getting married, starting to have kids, there's going to be a big demand on that segment. Also, millennials tend to be pretty financially responsible, and a lot of them have a lot of money and good jobs, so they're in a position that they actually can buy, even with this crazy, real estate market and where prices are. So prices and affordability is another factor that we need to look at. And a lot of you may argue that affordability is gone. And I totally get it. I mean, honestly, in our area, like if you're an average income earner, it's gonna be pretty tough to buy, like the house that maybe your parents had in, like for me in Sammamish, like they didn't pay hardly anything for it. So things are definitely changing. However, there is a lot of money out there. Our area, this is King County we're talking about in Washington State, it has great jobs, great income. There's a lot of people that are making tons and tons of money, and they're buying the $1.5 million house, and they can afford it. They're not buying it stretching, like they can actually do that. So it does support our market, and I think we actually have a little bit more ways to go with affordability before it starts becoming a real problem because of our big tech jobs and stability that we have in our economy and all the money that is actually in this area. We are in a very wealthy area, so a lot of the people that are living here, they can afford it. And of course, some people can't, and they're being pushed a little bit out to the outskirts, which are also getting really great appreciation, by the way. So if that's you, don't feel bad. That's actually a really great place to be. Hey, quick edit here from the video that I forgot to mention, and that is inflation. So a huge factor in the real estate market is inflation and what's going on with that. So because there was so much stimulus last year and all this money being printed, that caused a huge inflationary period in our market right now. And when inflation happens, prices go up. And that's about, groceries and gas and all that stuff, but also assets. Another reason is because a lot of people have a lot of extra money, disposable income right now, and they're putting that money in real estate. So a second note to the inflation is that a lot of hedge funds and other big investing companies and firms are also throwing a lot of money at real estate. So typically in these inflationary periods, real estate goes up. Okay, so the Fed's policies and other government factors always affect real estate, of course. In fact, I would say that they pretty much decide what real estate's gonna do. What their policies are with money, they just directly impact it. It's like they are the, puppeteer. So as I had mentioned before, they decided to taper down their bond buying, which essentially stops them from printing money. So by buying bonds, they're putting money into the economy in a paper, asset like that. And so that's when people say that they're printing money, that's what they mean by that. They don't mean they're actually printing money. They're buying up mortgage-backed securities and bonds, which is driving the economy and the market up, and it's kind of giving it stimulus. So they are tapering that down as of November, but they're not doing it super fast. They're not just stopping. So they're going to be buying less, buying less, buying less, buying less, and then they're going to be done buying in June or so of 2022. And as this has been happening, as the news came out, the interest rates are going along with that trend. And as I mentioned earlier, they should be going to about 4% by the end of this year. But Fed policy is always very important, so always keep an eye on that. As at this point, with my prediction, I'm going off what the Fed has currently said, but they can change their policy at any time, and that could change my outlook on what's going to happen because their decisions are very important on what happens in real estate. So the job market is another very important factor for real estate. So this is obviously hyper-local, which real estate is always hyper-local. It could be having a great market in Georgia right now, but not in Seattle, vice versa. So it depends on what's going on in your area. Of course, I'm in King County, Washington, so that's what I'm talking about. But our jobs are fantastic. High income earners do live here. It's also a great time to get a job. So it's been a weird last couple of years with COVID, but there are tons of jobs available, and it's actually very hard for employers to get qualified people for those jobs and to keep them. So the job market is very strong, even though we had a crazy unemployment rate, obviously with COVID. That is fully recovered, and it's a great time to be an employee. So another factor is going to be the ability for builders to put new construction products on the market. So we are way behind in how many houses there actually needs to be to support the population growth in our area. So that's one of the main causes for the low inventory. A lot of sellers aren't putting their house on the market. That's certainly one factor. Another factor is that there's just not enough houses being built, and there won't be enough with supply chain issues and all that stuff. Builders will not absolutely be able to catch up, not in this next year at least. So because of the very low inventory and products for new construction being built, we're always going to be kind of trying to chase that market as far as getting up to how many houses need to be out there for our population. So new construction is not being able to catch up, so that's going to affect what our market does. And it goes back to the supply and demand like it always does. If there's not enough supply, not enough houses being built, but there's still good demand, then we have an appreciating market. And that's what we've seen lately, and that's what I predict that we're going to continue to see. So overall prediction for 2022 is we are going to be in an appreciating market. It is going to be competitive. I hope and I think it's going to slow down a little bit, but I'm going to predict a 7 to 8% appreciation rate, because I do think we're gonna have a very, very strong spring. I think a lot of buyers are realizing that they need to buy, and it's still gonna be low inventory in my opinion. So once this all happens in springtime, when all the buyers are gonna come out of the woodworks, it's gonna be competitive, prices are gonna get driven up. I think it may slow down a little bit towards the fall time and hopefully winter time, but that's my prediction for the whole year. All right, that does it for the video, you guys. I hope that was helpful for you. I really would encourage you to like and subscribe if you like the content. I'm gonna be doing a lot more market updates and different educational pieces around real estate and finances. So please give it a like and a share and subscribe. Thank you.